The story opens in the shadow of a devastating defeat for humanity. For decades, humans had been expanding into the stars, carving out a place for themselves among powerful alien empires. But the fragile balance of power shattered when a coalition of hostile alien factions launched a coordinated assault on key human worlds. The battle was swift, brutal, and overwhelmingly one-sided. Humanity's advanced technology and strategic prowess were no match for the combined forces of the coalition. Starships were destroyed in great numbers, entire colonies were razed, and vital resources were lost. The enemy broadcast their triumph widely. The galaxy's communication networks buzzed with messages from alien leaders, gloating over what they declared humanity's inevitable downfall. In the central hub of human civilization, the capital planet lies in ruins. Once a shining beacon of progress and hope, it now smolders under the weight of bombardment and occupation. Streets that once thrummed with life are eerily silent. Survivors cling to the shattered remains of their homes, mourning those lost and struggling to comprehend the scale of the disaster. The leadership of humanity has fractured. Many key generals and politicians have been captured or killed. The remaining leaders face impossible decisions, torn between surrender and desperate resistance. The galaxy watches as humanity appears broken and defeated. Amid this bleak landscape, however, a few figures refuse to accept defeat. Some high-ranking officers, scientists, and resistance leaders disappear into the shadows, determined to regroup and fight back. These individuals become the story's emerging heroes. They understand that while the public sees a fallen empire, humanity still harbors secret strengths, hidden projects, and untapped reserves that the enemy does not yet know about. We glimpse one such secret. Deep within a concealed facility on a distant moon, scientists work feverishly on a revolutionary technology. It promises to shift the balance of power, but it requires time and secrecy. Another group trains survivors in new combat tactics, emphasizing flexibility, cunning, and resilience, traits humanity's enemies underestimate. The narrative also introduces the emotional toll of defeat. Families torn apart, veterans haunted by loss, civilians struggling to survive under occupation. The story does not shy away from showing the human cost of war, making the stakes deeply personal and relatable. It is this pain and determination that fuels the slow burn of hope beneath the surface. While enemies celebrate their apparent victory with lavish ceremonies and boastful proclamations, subtle signs suggest their confidence might be premature. There are hints of spies among them, mysterious disappearances, and a rising wave of sabotage in their supply lines. The enemy's arrogance blinds them to these warning signs. By the end of Part 1, readers understand the gravity of humanity's predicament but also sense the brewing storm. The once mighty human civilization lies shattered, but it is not yet broken. The seeds of resistance and rebellion have been planted in the darkest hour, setting the stage for an epic comeback. This opening part establishes a powerful emotional foundation. It contrasts despair with hope, defeat with determination, and hubris with humility. The audience is invited to invest in humanity's struggle, rooting for a comeback that seems unlikely but feels necessary. After the crushing defeat and the galaxy-wide broadcast of humanity's downfall, the second part of the story delves into the uneasy calm that follows, a period where hope seems scarce, but determination quietly grows. The enemy forces, confident in their victory, tighten their grip over human territory and continue their celebrations, convinced that the war is won. However, beneath the surface, humanity is far from defeated. The narrative shifts focus to the remnants of the human population scattered across hidden enclaves, secret bases, and resistant pockets throughout space. These groups are led by a new generation of leaders, a diverse mix of battle-hardened veterans, brilliant scientists, strategic masterminds, and unyielding civilians who refuse to give in. They embody humanity's resilience and resourcefulness. In this phase, humanity is no longer fighting for glory or expansion but for survival and reclamation. The story highlights the monumental challenges these survivors face: lack of resources, fractured communication, constant danger from enemy patrols, and the psychological scars left by the recent losses. The sense of isolation is profound, and the pressure to remain undetected weighs heavily. Yet amidst these hardships, humanity begins to innovate in ways their enemies did not anticipate. Scientists in hidden laboratories finalize the development of cutting-edge technology that had been in the works long before the war's turning point. These include stealth systems far beyond current enemy capabilities, advanced autonomous drones for reconnaissance and sabotage, and bio-enhanced soldiers, trained to operate in hostile environments. This technology is not just a weapon, but a symbol of hope, proof that humanity's spirit and intellect endure. Simultaneously, resistance leaders implement new guerrilla warfare tactics tailored to outsmart the larger, less flexible alien forces. Instead of direct confrontations, they focus on hit-and-run attacks, disruption of supply chains, and psychological warfare designed to sow confusion and fear among the enemy ranks. These tactics rely heavily on adaptability and human unpredictability, qualities that prove invaluable against the rigid, hierarchical alien command structures. A key element of Part 2 is the introduction of crucial protagonists, individuals, whose skills, vision, and unyielding resolve will drive the rebellion forward. Perhaps a former military commander who was presumed dead, now leading a covert fleet. A brilliant scientist who risked everything to protect the new technology. Or a young recruit whose unique background makes them the perfect operative for dangerous missions. Their personal stories and motivations add depth and emotional weight, showing that this fight is as much about protecting loved ones and ideals as it is about survival. Meanwhile, the alien coalition remains largely oblivious to the storm brewing beneath their feet. Their celebrations continue unabated and their leaders grow complacent. Small acts of resistance, sabotage, intercepted communications, and espionage are dismissed as minor annoyances, not signs of a larger, organized comeback. This arrogance sets the stage for the dramatic reversal to come. The tension in this part comes from the contrast between the enemy's overconfidence and humanity's quiet, but relentless preparation. The narrative builds a sense of anticipation, showing how every small victory, every technological breakthrough, and every training session is a step toward reclaiming what was lost. By the end of Part 2, the reader is firmly rooted in the knowledge that humanity's fall was not final. The seeds of rebellion have grown in the shadows, and the slow, steady pulse of resistance beats stronger with every passing day. The galaxy's celebration of victory is premature, and the quiet before the storm is about to break. With the groundwork laid in the quiet but intense rebuilding phase, Part 3 marks humanity's transition from silent preparation to active resistance. This is where the story shifts into a tense and thrilling shadow war, showcasing how the seemingly defeated human race begins to claw its way back through cunning, stealth, and innovation. At the start of this section, the alien coalition remains smug and largely complacent, convinced that their overwhelming military superiority guarantees complete domination. Their forces occupy key strategic points throughout human space, enjoying the spoils of victory and ignoring the increasing reports of minor disturbances and unexplained losses. They see these incidents as mere nuisances, nothing serious enough to threaten their hold. But in truth, these disturbances are the opening salvo of humanity's carefully orchestrated comeback. Humanity's resistance cells, now fully mobilized and coordinated under a unified command, begin launching covert strikes against enemy infrastructure. Unlike the large-scale battles of the past, these attacks are swift, surgical, and highly targeted. The focus is on disrupting enemy supply lines, communications networks, and resource extraction facilities. By striking where the enemy is weakest and least prepared, humans maximize impact while minimizing risk. The narrative highlights the ingenuity of these tactics. Human operatives employ advanced stealth technology developed in secret, enabling them to infiltrate heavily guarded enemy installations. Small, highly trained teams use guerrilla warfare principles combined with cutting-edge tech, cloaking devices, silent drones, and electronic warfare to create chaos behind enemy lines. The goal is not to conquer territory immediately, but to sap the enemy's strength, morale, and cohesion. This part also introduces the psychological dimension of the conflict. As human strikes grow bolder and more effective, the enemy coalition begins to experience confusion and paranoia. Distrust spreads among their commanders. Accusations of spies and traitors emerge. Propaganda shifts from triumphant celebration to defensive denials and scapegoating. This cracks open the once solid front and sets the stage for internal discord. Humanity's leaders seize this opportunity to inspire hope both among their own people and potential allies. Radio broadcasts and intercepted messages become tools of psychological warfare, emphasizing that humanity is not broken, that the fight is far from over, and that every citizen, soldier, and survivor has a role in reclaiming their future. These messages rekindle the fire of resistance in scattered human enclaves, encouraging cooperation and renewed effort. We meet several key protagonists in action during this phase: a seasoned commander leading a daring raid on an enemy communication hub, a young operative piloting stealth drones through perilous enemy space, and a scientist remotely coordinating sabotage efforts with precision timing. Their successes, setbacks, and personal sacrifices give this part emotional depth, turning abstract conflict into human stories of courage and determination. Meanwhile, the alien leaders scramble to respond. They increase patrols, fortify positions, and hunt for the elusive human saboteurs. But their rigid hierarchy and overconfidence hinder rapid adaptation. They underestimate human resilience and flexibility, which proves to be a critical mistake. Part 3 ends with a major symbolic victory for humanity. A successful strike on a high-value enemy facility that cripples their operations in a key sector. This victory, though not decisive in itself, sends a powerful message. Humanity is no longer hiding. They are striking back, and the galaxy must take notice. This part sets a tone of rising tension and renewed hope, demonstrating that the darkest hour has passed and the tide is beginning to turn. The stage is set for even bigger confrontations as humanity prepares to reclaim its place among the stars. Following humanity's initial covert strikes and growing shadow war in Part 3, Part 4 shifts to a pivotal turning point. Humanity's resilience begins to inspire others, and unexpected allies return to the fold. This part focuses on how cracks form in the enemy coalition and how new partnerships tip the balance in favor of humanity's comeback. The narrative opens with tension still high. The alien coalition, while shaken by the recent sabotage and guerrilla warfare, remains a formidable force. However, the unity that once held the coalition together is now fragile. The strains of prolonged conflict and internal mistrust weaken their cohesion, creating openings for diplomatic maneuvers and covert alliances. Across the galaxy, several alien factions and neutral species who had remained on the sidelines or quietly opposed the coalition's aggression start reconsidering their stance. Some had long-standing trade, cultural or political ties with humanity, and secretly admired human resilience. Others see the shifting power balance as an opportunity to break free from the coalition's dominance. These alien factions initiate discreet contact with human leaders, offering intelligence, safe havens, and limited military aid. These alliances are tentative and fraught with risk, but their impact is profound. Suddenly, humanity gains access to new resources, advanced technologies, and strategic locations previously denied to them. This influx revitalizes the resistance and expands their operational capabilities. A crucial subplot in this part involves the negotiation and trust building between humanity and these new allies. Suspicion runs deep on both sides. The aliens fear betrayal or manipulation, while humans remember the betrayals and losses suffered during earlier alliances. Nevertheless, shared goals and mutual respect drive the cooperation forward, exemplifying the story's theme of unity and adversity. As new alliances form, humanity's military strategy evolves. Coordinated strikes now include joint operations, with alien forces combining strengths and diversifying tactics. These collaborations bring unexpected advantages. Alien species' unique technologies and abilities complement human ingenuity and adaptability. For example, an alien race with superior cloaking technology teams up with human sabotage units, enabling highly effective infiltration missions. The story also follows key protagonists growing into leadership roles during this phase. A human commander who brokered one of the first alien alliances becomes a symbol of hope and diplomacy. A skilled alien warrior joins the human ranks, offering both combat expertise and insights into the enemy's weaknesses. Their partnership becomes a beacon of cooperation, inspiring others to join the cause. Meanwhile, the enemy coalition scrambles to respond. They increase propaganda efforts to discredit these new alliances, painting humanity as desperate and treacherous. They attempt to tighten their control over their own factions, but internal dissent grows. Some enemy leaders question the wisdom of continuing the war as cracks appear in their coalition's foundation. The climax of Part 4 features a significant joint victory, a daring assault on a heavily fortified enemy stronghold that had been a strategic linchpin. This victory not only delivers a tactical blow but also serves as a morale booster, galvanizing the human resistance and their allies. It signals to the galaxy that humanity's resurgence is real and unstoppable. By the end of this part, the narrative conveys a strong sense of momentum. Humanity has transformed from a defeated remnant into a credible force backed by allies and innovative tactics. The enemy's celebrations have turned to desperation, and the galaxy's balance of power begins to shift. This section reinforces key story themes: the power of resilience, the importance of alliances, and the strength found in diversity and cooperation. It sets the stage for the decisive confrontations to come, where humanity will push forward not just to survive, but to reclaim their rightful place in the cosmos. Building on the momentum from the renewed alliances and tactical victories, Part 5 marks the beginning of humanity's full-scale return to power. This section is the crescendo of the story's rising action, where the scattered resistance transforms into a coordinated, massive offensive against the alien coalition that once crushed them. The narrative begins with humanity's leaders convening in a secure, hidden stronghold. For the first time since the devastating defeat, they plan not merely to survive or disrupt, but to reclaim lost worlds and deliver a decisive blow to their oppressors. The mood is electric, blending a hard-earned confidence with the weight of responsibility. This is the moment where years of secrecy, sacrifice, and preparation culminate in a bold declaration: humanity will fight to retake its place in the galaxy, or perish trying. The offensive itself is multi-pronged and ambitious. Human forces, bolstered by their alien allies and equipped with advanced technology, strike simultaneously at multiple key targets. These include heavily fortified command centers, supply depots, and major fleet bases critical to the enemy's war effort. The scale of the assault shocks even some of humanity's own commanders. What was once a scattered guerrilla war now resembles a full-scale military campaign. The story highlights the complexity and coordination involved. Detailed planning, synchronized strikes across light years, and real-time communication breakthroughs allow for precision and overwhelming force. Special forces carry out daring sabotage missions behind enemy lines, crippling defenses and sowing confusion. Larger fleet engagements test humanity's newly upgraded starships against the coalition's best vessels. This part is also rich in character-driven moments. Key protagonists face personal trials amid the chaos of battle, a commander grappling with the loss of comrades, a young pilot's first taste of large-scale warfare, a scientist risking everything to maintain critical communications. These moments add emotional depth, showing the human cost and courage fueling the campaign. The enemy, while desperate, is still dangerous. They rally reserves, deploy new weapons, and attempt counterattacks. However, the cracks in their coalition deepen under the pressure of sustained assault. Some factions begin to question the wisdom of continued resistance, secretly seeking ceasefires or negotiation. This internal fracturing becomes a critical advantage for humanity. Part 5 also explores the theme of sacrifice and the price of war. The offensive is costly, lives lost, worlds scarred, and hope tested. The narrative does not shy away from the harsh realities, balancing the excitement of victories with somber reflections on what it means to fight for survival and freedom. Towards the climax, humanity scores a major strategic victory. the recapture of a vital homeworld or capital that had been occupied. This symbolic triumph electrifies human populations everywhere and sends a powerful message to the galaxy. Humanity is back, stronger and more determined than ever. By the end of Part 5, the story's tension is at its peak. Humanity has turned the tide but must prepare for the inevitable final confrontation. The enemy coalition, battered and divided, will not surrender easily. The stage is set for the ultimate showdown, one that will decide the fate of humanity and the galaxy. This part encapsulates the story's core themes of resilience, unity, and hope amidst adversity. It portrays a triumphant yet gritty return, emphasizing that victory comes not from invincibility, but from unyielding determination and cooperation. The thrilling climax and resolution of the story, bringing the intense struggle between humanity and the alien coalition to a decisive conclusion. After years of hardship, cunning resistance, and relentless fighting, humanity finally faces its ultimate test. The final battle that will determine not only their survival, but their future place in the galaxy. The narrative opens with both sides, fully aware that this confrontation will be decisive. The alien coalition, battered and fractured by previous defeats and internal dissent, marshals its remaining forces for one last, desperate push to crush humanity once and for all. Humanity, now a united and revitalized force with new allies and advanced technology, prepares to confront the enemy on multiple fronts with strategy and courage. This final phase is marked by massive fleet engagements, daring ground operations, and covert sabotage missions all happening simultaneously. The story emphasizes the scale and complexity of the battle, illustrating how every decision, every act of bravery, and every sacrifice shapes the outcome. The coordinated efforts of humans and their alien allies showcase the power of unity in diversity, proving that collaboration can overcome even the most overwhelming odds. The protagonists introduced throughout the story play crucial roles in this climax. The seasoned commanders lead fleets into battle with steady hands. The young operatives carry out vital sabotage that turns the tide. The scientists and engineers work tirelessly to maintain communications and push the limits of their technology. These personal stories add emotional resonance, highlighting not just the grand scale of war but the human and alien spirit behind it. Despite the intensity and destruction, the story also explores themes of hope and renewal. The victory is not without cost. Worlds are scarred, lives lost, and societies upended, but the promise of a new beginning shines brightly. As enemy forces falter and begin to retreat or surrender, humanity takes its first steps toward rebuilding and forging a lasting peace. Crucially, Part 6 addresses the aftermath and consequences of the war. Humanity's leaders recognize that victory is not merely about domination, but about creating a better future. They work to establish new alliances, promote understanding among diverse species, and prevent the cycle of conflict from repeating. This sets the stage for a hopeful vision of interstellar cooperation and shared destiny. The final scenes resonate with emotional closure and optimism. Old wounds begin to heal, and survivors reflect on their journey, from near extinction to resurgence. The story closes on a note of cautious but genuine hope, celebrating humanity's resilience and the strength found in unity, courage, and perseverance. Overall, Part 6 ties together the narrative threads of struggle, sacrifice, and triumph. It emphasizes that while the road was long and arduous, humanity's unwavering spirit and determination led to a new dawn, one where they reclaim their rightful place not just as survivors, but as respected members of a diverse and evolving galaxy.